Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Just want to take a quick second out to say thank you very much for the support on my first video. If you haven't already checked it out, go to my channel or click on the card above to check that out. And I'm back with another review. I'm reviewing my first SH Figuarts figure today, and it's the SH Figuarts Yuta Okkotsu from Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which is the movie that came out last year now. It was a great movie. I actually saw it on opening day, and in the theaters, I was sitting in the theaters thinking, I need a figure of this guy, because it was, his character is quite compelling and he's quite cool in the movie. You can get him to cool action scenes and stuff. And SH Figuarts have come out and made a figure of this guy to go with the rest of the Jujutsu Kaisen line, which I have. So we'll be doing a comparison to that later as well. But without further ado, let's take a quick look at the box. I've heard some good things and bad things about this guy, so we'll see what personal experience I have when opening this up. This is freshly sealed, so I'm going to be having a sort of first reactions on here. There's the back of the box with some shots of the figure. Box has an overall nice blue color scheme to it. See the figure and all his accessories. Bit more shots on the side, one shot of him at the top. But without further ado, let's get into the review. Just want to take a quick second to look at the accessories that he comes with out of the box. So we've got the 3 faceplates, alternate faceplates. We've got the interchangeable hands, 3 pairs of those, as well as the closed fists that come on out of the box. And we've got a speakerphone, we've got his sword, we've got the sword sheathed twice, one with the strap and one without the strap. But yet, without further ado, let's look at the figure. So guys, here is Yuta out of the packaging, and I won't lie to you, I've had a bit of a mess around behind the scenes just to check that he hasn't got any QC issues. The main one that I've been seeing is his legs snapping off. I don't know how that happens, but yeah, it's apparently with movement it snaps off. From what I've messed around with mine, it hasn't got that. I guess we'll carry on the review and see. But here you can see Yuta in a pretty simple but dynamic pose that I've quickly put him in for the video. But I am right out of the packaging very, 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 very impressed with this figure. I mean, I saw, like, at the end of the year, a lot of people's top 10 lists, top 5 figure of the year lists featured him, and now I'm kind of like, oh, if I had him last year, yeah, he might have been in mine as well. I love swordsman figures. They're amazing to mess around with, and the poses and adding effects and everything is just, the possibilities are sort of infinite with these guys. But the smoothness of his joints and how well they flow straight out of the packaging, to me, it feels great. But let's take a closer look. The first thing I just want to note is, I'm not actually going to bring the figure close to this, I'm actually going to bring an accessory, is that he has a ring sculpted on his finger for, obviously, story purposes of the movie. And the sculpting of the ring, I just want to show that looks pretty good. And I just want to show his speakerphone accessory in a bit more detail. It looks pretty good. It's pretty unique accessory to have. Honestly, when I thought about them making a Yuta figure, I didn't really think that they would include that. I actually forgot about that sort of whole scene in the movie, but yeah, it's a cool little extra. I did wish he came with a few more faceplates. We can have a quick look at the faceplates in detail. One, he comes on out of the packaging. Yeah, it's okay. It's a smiling face. He has a bit of a drowsy look. It doesn't really convert well to action figure form, in my opinion, but I don't know. I guess it's up to your personal preference. Another sort of straight face, but it's a drowsy look. It's not really just like a normal look. That's the one I wish he had, which he doesn't have. Then he's got 2 screaming faces, the one that I've got on him right now, which I'll show you closer in a second. And this one's pretty cool. Yeah, just a standard screaming face. Wish he came with more of a straight face that didn't have a drowsy look, stern eyes type thing. He doesn't, and that's alright. For the price point, he's coming with a good amount of accessories. But let's bring him a little bit closer so we can have a closer look at the details on this guy. So, one thing I'll say with Jujutsu Kaisen figures, and his butterfly joint is sort of span in. Oh, that is very soft. That'd have to be brought back out. Give me 1 second. So, guys, I've managed to fix the sleeve. I just had to do it outside of the camera. It wasn't hard at all. Since it's a bit of a rubbery material, which we'll look at in the articulation, I guess, it kind of slips sometimes. But yeah, having a closer look at Yuta, we've got his hairpiece, which looks pretty good, giving kind of a flowy effect, strands up in the air and all that. It looks pretty decent. You've got the face that I've got on out of the packaging, which is my favorite face for this guy. You've got the top, which the collar piece looks pretty good. I think it's a big improvement from Gojo's, which tends to cover his face like completely when you move the head down to its furthest point. This is with Gojo's, not with Yuta. But I think they fixed that on the new Gojo, because I did have it for a short period of time. So I'm pretty sure, messing around with that, they did fix that. And essentially, we've got his white top here with the patch that buttons in with the button. That's the only bit of color that you're really getting on this white top, which is fine because it's a movie accurate design, which is cool. You've got the creases going out the body, which is a very, very, very cool bit of detailing to add in. As far as I'm aware, and just looking over, I'm pretty sure that the other figures in the collection don't have those creases. So with the Jujutsu Kaisen figures with the uniforms on, they don't have those creases in the tops, or maybe in the legs. We'll have a closer look in the comparison anyway. But going down to the trousers, you've got a plain black look with his sort of belt ribbon. And you've got the trainers, which I think the trainers are really well sculpted. You don't really see trainers much in SH Figuarts, because the characters they tend to make don't really wear trainers. So that was a really well done with the sculpt with them. And yeah, essentially we've looked at the overall look of the figure. Now let's get into probably what is the best part of the figure, which is the articulation. So let's take a look at the articulation. We've got head goes up about that far, down about that far, good 360 range, good head tilt. The collar, neck, and head are all essentially working as one unit to have a really good sort of fluent head rotation and head tilt. You've got a 360 rotation, which I'm rotating from the collar. You've got a nice bit of detail on the collar, which actually is the molding to help it look like it's sort of flush with the panel that buttons into the top that he is wearing. Coming down to the torso, we've got the ab crunch, which goes about that far forward, which is pretty good. And then it gets stuck on here, which you have to sort of push back. This is a rubber piece as well. Very hard rubber, but it's rubber piece. So I think it's to help with that, which you have to push back, and then it can go about that far back. Then we can come down to the waist. We've got a 360 waist swivel, which I'm not going to completely do a 360 just because I don't want to sort of loosen my my copy of this figure. So crunch about that forward, about that far back if I move my fingers out the way. And then yeah, so a pretty good fluent body overall. Moving to the arms, we've got 360 rotation. It can come out about that far. Actually, go a bit further than that. Go about that far up. It is on a drop down ball peg, which can help. It looks a bit freaky there, but it helps for sort of getting him into these dynamic sword holding poses. And then you've got your bicep swivel, which can 360. We've got the single jointed elbow, which has a really, really good range. We've got a plastic piece here, which doesn't really hinder it. It kind of just stops it there, but it looks quite flush throughout. So yeah, a plastic sleeve piece here, which goes onto the arm sleeve. Then the end piece of the sleeve here. We've got your standard SH Figuarts ball hinge, which hinges back and forth. You've got your 360 with the peg. And then moving down to the legs, I'm now very scared because I don't want this to break. Legs can kick about that far forward, about, not back at all. Can go out to the sides. You have a double knee joint, which is kicks right back. You're moving down now to the feet, which have this little ankle piece, which most SH Figuarts have, which moves around quite freely on its own. But yeah, kind of moves with the articulation again. You've got your feet going about that far back, and then about kicking about up about this far forward. You got your toes again, and then you've got a very, very, very nice SH Figuarts ankle pivot. So essentially, that is pretty much all the articulation that you're getting with this figure. I'm saying all, but it works really well. You can get him into a lot of dynamic poses. But yeah, I think now it's time to take him to a comparison segment. Two things I forgot to mention is that he also has a thigh swivel, which is standard for most modern SHF, and he also has a chest swivel here as well, which is two very pivotal points of articulation, which I forgot to mention. So there you go, on to the comparison segment. Here is Yuta next to the Marvel Legends Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man, making a reappearance from the last video. Here he is next to a fellow swordsman with my figure of the year for 2022, SH Figuarts Sasuke. He actually looks a bit smaller. Like, Sasuke actually looks a lot smaller compared to Yuta. But yeah, here he is next to Sasuke. Here he is next to another fellow Tamashii Nations figure. It is the Imagination Works Monkey D. Luffy, who obviously, being the Imagination Works scale, towers over this figure. Here he is next to another swordsman. This is the Buzzmod Rengoku. And here he is with the whole cast of the Jujutsu Kaisen SH Figuarts that we've got right now, except for the new Gojo, which is basically just that Gojo in the back with a slightly different look and a bit of paint to him. But yeah, you can see how he compares to the rest of the guys. We haven't actually seen him in the show with the other three characters except for Gojo. So we actually don't know what height accuracy is, but I'm sure it's going to be very, very similar to what we see here. These all look great together, and they're going to look amazing on my shelf. So at the end of the day, I don't see any reason for anyone to be hating this figure if their copy of the figure is fine, essentially. I think this figure is made amazingly. It feels quality when you're holding it, getting some great poses, a decent amount of accessories. The only thing I wanted was probably one more faceplate. But for the price and what you are getting, I think this figure is amazing. And I would personally probably give it a 9 out of 10 with very little problems. Along the line, when I mess around with it more, say when I go to do photography and whatnot, may come out with some problems then. If I do, I'll be sure to sort of put that on my Instagram, because I'll be uploading the photography for there. So if you do want to go and follow my Instagram, the link to it will be in the description below. But besides from that, if you did enjoy the review, don't forget to leave a like. If you do like my channel, don't forget to subscribe. Also, share the video with your family and friends. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. 夢は弾まで泣いてないでどんな顔すればいいか